Daniel, if I die today, just tell my mother I was killed by goat meat and wickedness. That was the exact sentence that came out of Michael's mouth as he gripped his stomach and staggered around the small apartment, looking for a comfortable position to suffer in peace. But let's go back to how it all started. Michael had just arrived in Lagos that morning. He came in from Abuja to see his old friend, Daniel, who now called himself a businessman. The plan was simple: test a new idea, customized power banks with funny motivational quotes, and sell them to office workers. Stuck in Lagos traffic, Daniel was waiting for him at the park, wearing sunglasses that were more confident than his bank account, and carrying a backpack that probably had more nylon bags than documents. "Welcome to Lagos," Daniel shouted, hugging Michael like they hadn't spoken on the phone just the night before. "You're ready to make money?" Michael laughed. "As long as your plan doesn't land us in jail." They spent the morning moving from one street to another. Daniel was a tour guide, businessman, motivational speaker, and comedian, all at once. He introduced Michael to the real Lagos, the shouting bus conductors, the smell of roasted plantain mixed with car fumes, and the way people crossed roads like they had extra lives. By 2 p.m., Michael's face was shiny with sweat, and his stomach was singing a low, dangerous song. "Guy, I think we need to eat," he said, holding his stomach like it was about to bite him. Daniel wiped his own face with the back of his hand. "You want to go and cook?" Michael blinked. "Cook? Where? Your house. Who has the time? I'm starving." Daniel waved his hand. "Relax. There's one place just down the street. The food is sweet. And it's cheap. No need to waste money going to restaurant. All these big restaurants will just serve you rice like sample and collect your destiny as payment." Michael raised an eyebrow. "Is it clean?" "Clean enough," Daniel replied, already walking ahead. "Look, this is where I eat almost every day. You'll love it. It's called Auntie Grace's Kitchen." Michael looked at him suspiciously. "Why does that sound like somewhere they serve typhoid on the side?" Daniel laughed. "You Abuja boys are too soft. Come on. This is Lagos. Your stomach needs to hustle too." And with that, they made their way to the beginning of their problem. The moment Michael stepped into Auntie Grace's kitchen, his soul tried to step out. It was a small shack squeezed between a barbershop and a drainage channel that had clearly given up on being useful. The zinc roof looked like it had survived 3 hurricanes, and one jealous ex-smoke was escaping from the back, and a woman in a scarf and apron was shouting instructions while flipping meat over a giant pot. "This is the place?" Michael asked slowly, blinking like he was seeing his childhood flash before his eyes. "Yes." Daniel grinned proudly, holding the curtain made of old Ankara wrappers so Michael could enter. "This is where real men eat. No noise, no pretense, just food and vibes." Michael looked around. One table had 4 men sweating over bowls of EBA, like they were in a race. Another man was asleep in the corner, holding a spoon in one hand and a bottle of water in the other. Flies were doing gymnastics on the meat tray, and the ceiling fan turned only when you threatened it. "I think that fly just winked at me," Michael whispered. "Don't worry about the fly," Daniel said, waving it away. "That one is a regular customer." Auntie Grace turned around with a big smile and an even bigger voice. Daniel, my son. You brought visitor." "Yes, oh. Give us 2 plates of umla, you do, bigairai, and that your special goat meat. He's from Abuja. He needs to taste real food." Michael looked like he wanted to escape through the wall, but his stomach had already signed the contract. He sighed. "Please make sure the water is sealed." They sat down and waited while Auntie Grace dished the food. Daniel was excited, licking his lips and tapping the table like a happy drummer. Michael just stared at the environment, like he was trying to memorize it in case it appeared in his dreams later as a warning. Soon, the food arrived, steaming hot and looking innocent. The goat meat was huge. The soup was thick. Daniel picked up his spoon and dived in like a champion. "Michael, eat nah," he said, mouth already full. "You don't know what you're missing." Michael slowly took a bite. It wasn't bad. In fact, it was shockingly good. He took another spoon. Then another. Then another. "Daniel," he said, eyes wide, "why does this taste like it was cooked by angels?" Daniel laughed with satisfaction. "I told you. Lagos may stress you, but the food will comfort you." They finished their food. Michael even ordered a bottle of malt. He felt full, happy, and slightly guilty for ever judging the place. "This might actually be the best umla I've ever had," he said. Daniel nodded proudly. "Welcome to the good life." They both stood up, paid Auntie Grace, and walked out of the shack, unaware that trouble was already knocking politely at the door of their intestines. 10 minutes after they left Auntie Grace's kitchen, the first sign appeared. Michael paused on the sidewalk and placed his hand on his stomach. He muttered, frowning. "Did that umla just kick me?" Daniel turned around. "You day okay?" Michael stood still, eyes squinting like a man solving a spiritual puzzle. "I'm not sure." Stomach just moved, like it's preparing for something. Daniel laughed. "Guy, stop being dramatic. That food was perfect. Maybe you're a bouja. Stomach just needs time to adjust. This is Lagos, our food has ambition." They continued walking toward the bus stop, trying to figure out their next business move. But 5 minutes later, Daniel stopped mid-sentence and slowly leaned forward like someone trying to whisper to the ground. Michael looked at him. "Wait. Don't tell me." Daniel raised one finger. "SH. I think my intestines are arguing." "What do you mean?" "Sure. Listen." Daniel closed his eyes. "Can you hear it? There's a tribal war going on in my belly." Michael burst into laughter, but it was short-lived because his own stomach responded with a deep, vibrating growl that sounded like a lion had joined the protest. Both of them froze on the spot. "Daniel," Michael said, panicking, "I think this is not normal." Daniel looked terrified. "We need to find a toilet. Fast." They ran across the road like they were chasing destiny. One small kiosk rejected them. Petrol station pointed them to a broken restroom that hadn't seen water since Buhari was a youth. Finally, they found a small pharmacy with a kind old man who offered them the back toilet, one person at a time. They played rock, paper, scissors. Michael won. As he sprinted in, Daniel leaned against the wall, clutching his stomach and mumbling prayers that sounded like a mix of "God, forgive me," and "Auntie Grace, why?" From inside the toilet, Michael was groaning so loud, birds flew off a nearby tree. "I told you," he shouted. "I said we should cook." Daniel, sweating and pacing outside, replied, "You didn't say it strong enough." At that point, even his sunglasses gave up and slid off his head. By the time Michael finally staggered out, Daniel rushed in like a man being chased by demons. And that was how their small business meeting turned into a shared moment of gastrointestinal betrayal. They finally made it back to Daniel's apartment, looking like survivors from a war nobody warned them about. Michael dropped his bag, lay flat on the floor, and stared at the ceiling like it owed him answers. Daniel, still holding his stomach like it was a leaking bucket, collapsed on the chair and exhaled loudly. A moment of silence. Then it began. Michael turned his head slowly. "I told you." Daniel blinked. "Told me what?" "I told you we should just go to that decent restaurant near the bank. Clean chairs, air conditioning, food that doesn't come with a side of toilet time." Daniel sat up, frowning. "Michael, please don't annoy me this evening. Do you know how much rice is in that place? One plate of jollof is 4,500 Nigerian nairas. That's how much we used to buy fuel last week." Michael sat up, eyes wide. "Daniel, so you prefer to spend 2,000 Nigerian nairas on food and 6,000 Nigerian nairas on medication?" Daniel pointed at his chest. "My brother, it's called managing money. We're businessmen. We can't finish our profit-eating chicken with toothpicks and cucumber garnish. We have to eat like people with goals. Michael shook his head, groaning. So your goal was to eat in a gutter with pepper? That opened my third eye. Daniel clapped his hands once. You're talking as if you didn't lick the plate. Didn't you even ask for extra meat? You were smiling like somebody just proposed to you. Michael stood up dramatically. Of course I was smiling. I didn't know it was my last moment of joy before my intestine started doing acrobatics. Daniel winced and shifted in his seat. It's coming again. I feel like something inside me just pressed enter. Michael chuckled and collapsed on the floor again. So what's the plan now, manager of funds? Daniel scratched his head. Maybe we should buy Flagyl and ORS. Michael raised a hand weakly. I already bought them. With my emergency fund. They both sat there in silence again, looking like two uncles who just got scammed by a 17-year-old Forex trader. Then Michael muttered, So tomorrow, where are we eating? Daniel looked up slowly. Let's just cook, please. By the next morning, peace had returned. Michael was seated at the table sipping lukewarm Lipton without milk, the universal tea of the weak and recovering. Daniel came out of the room wearing a wrapper and bedroom slippers, looking like a retired village prophet. Are you alive? Michael asked. Daniel sighed. I saw things, Michael. Things I can't explain. Michael nodded. I think my organs are no longer talking to each other. My intestine has blocked my liver on WhatsApp. They both laughed painfully. Then Daniel walked to the table and sat down gently, like a man afraid to disturb anything in his lower region. He looked at Michael and shook his head. You know, maybe we need to rethink this our strategy, he said. Michael raised one brow. You mean your strategy of saving money by risking death? Daniel lifted one finger. Excuse me. It's called lean budgeting. Michael scoffed. Lean budgeting that almost made me lean in the casket. They both laughed again. Then Michael said, But seriously, you know what I've learned? In this Lagos, not everything cheap is a blessing. Sometimes that thing that looks like a bargain is just waiting to turn your stomach into a construction site. Daniel nodded slowly. True. I also learned something. We can't be building business empires and then be eating like prisoners. Even our customers are eating better than us. Michael sipped his tea. Exactly. If we finish all our capital on drugs and tissue paper, who will run the business? They both went quiet for a second, deep in thought. Then Daniel suddenly asked, But, be honest, that meat from Auntie Grace's place, wasn't it soft? Michael stared at him. Daniel, don't do this. What? Daniel smiled. I'm just saying, she knows how to boil meat. Michael dropped his tea. CN, if I follow you to that place again, may God. Daniel raised both hands. Okay. I was just joking. From now on, we cook clean food. Controlled pepper. No bacteria with dreams. Michael stood up. Good. And no more defending Mama put with support local business. From now on, we support our intestines. Daniel chuckled. Deal. As they began prepping for breakfast, yam and egg sauce this time, with Daniel peeling yam like he was slicing trauma out of his life. Michael looked at him and said, One more thing. Daniel looked up. Yes. If we ever feel hungry while hustling outside. Yes. We enter any restaurant that has menu board, hand sanitizer, and actual napkins. That's our new rule. Daniel laughed. And a working toilet too. They both laughed hard, stomachs still sensitive, but hearts at peace. Moral of the story. 1. Not all cheap things are blessings. Some come with bonus hospital visits. 2. It's okay to manage money, but not your health. If your food budget makes your body cry, rethink it. 3. In business, balance is key. Don't eat your capital, but don't also let your intestines file for bankruptcy. 4. Support local business, but not at the cost of your intestines and kidneys. 5. A good meal is an investment. One that doesn't end with prayer and a packet of Flagyl. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment and tell me, what's the most unforgettable food experience you've ever had? I'd love to hear your own sweet trouble story. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next hilarious and eye-opening story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay smart, and eat wisely.